Okay.
My guest, the only person I know of in Greater Vancouver that does what he does, which is insist on a written financial plan for everybody, Fred Snyder, is with Dundee Wealth Management. You can get hold of him at 731-8900, and there's a 604 in front of that, 731-8900. Next Thursday, November the 12th, 2009, he's having a free seminar on real estate at the corner of 12th and Cambie in Vancouver, the Plaza 500 Hotel. I'll be speaking on mortgage interest as a deduction to start off because I got to get out of there by 7 o'clock. I have an art gallery opening that I've been planning and helping and working with for about 6 months. I actually forgot about the date when we were talking about setting up the November 12th because you gave me the option to pick the date. I picked the date I've been committed to for 6 months. But it was also involved when Ozzy was available. So
Sure.
we took his day. And you can get hold of him on every Sunday morning on CL Radio, 6:50 a.m. on your dial in Vancouver, and you can get it at www.radio650am.com. I believe that's what it is, and it's not as close to that. Anyway.
And you must forget Ozzy Jurock is going to be speaking.
Ozzy's going to be there. We can talk about what Ozzy is, because Ozzy Jurock is, again, in my opinion, the number one. Well, let's just start over again. Ozzy's speaking on real estate, and you're speaking on real estate, and I'm speaking of mortgage interest as a deduction, because I sort of invented that.
Well, I'm going to lean more to the financial planning side of real estate.
And you're going to sit there.
I'm going to talk about the home buyer's plan. I'm going to talk about your credit rating.
Yep.
And your credit score, how you have a good one or a bad one, basically.
You know, do you want a mortgage guy to speak?
No, we got enough speakers.
No, got enough speakers, right? Okay. Just,
if I get another speaker, then I won't be able to talk.
Oh, well, then you got to talk. It's your seminar, and Fred's paying. Fred likes educating his clients and other people. And what you do is you run these educational things as a advertising method to get more. You let people touch and feel and meet you and see what you think about it and come in and deal with you if they want to.
Yeah. We teach people what they need to know to make better financial decisions so that they can become financially independent sooner, stay financially independent longer.
Well, longer is the big one because otherwise they run out of money.
You don't want your money to die before you do.
I'm going to, I was talking to a lady the other day, age approximately 57, 58, 59, something like that. Got about $8,000 left in her mutual fund account, which started off at about $140,000, and has actually had a couple of other small $10,000 amounts added to it over the last 15 years. But she's down to this $8,000, and her statement to me was that this next month is going to be the first time in the 15 years that she's made enough money that she hasn't had to take her rent out of her money. And I'm going to ask you to make it, because I already said, she's had a financial advisor for 15 years handling this money, a family friend who's never once said, you know, Madam X, you should take this money and buy yourself an apartment. Because if she bought an apartment back then, she could have bought a nice apartment for that amount of money in Vancouver and wouldn't be paying rent today. As it is, she's got no money left and she's running out of money. And
how old is she, David?
About 58.
She's in trouble.
Oh, total trouble. Absolute total trouble. There's no money left at the end of another 2 years from now.
So, in your opinion, was the financial advisor
I think the financial advisor is negligent. He bills himself as a financial advisor.
Maybe she should sue him.
Well, what chance have you got of suing a financial advisor who didn't tell you to do what you should have done?
Well, I got a client that successfully did it.
Really?
Yep.
That's an interesting.
I shouldn't say she won. It was settled out of court.
That's a scary one, because how do you say, you know, you can't. If somebody says, well, they're not going to. I'm just trying to be on the financial advisor side now. If somebody says, well, I don't know where I really want to live. Maybe I want to live on the island. Maybe I want to go live in Winnipeg, go back home to Saskatoon. Then maybe they shouldn't buy, right? Well, but over 15 years...
David, I am obliged by the laws that regulate me to say to the client, is your tolerance for risk low, moderate, or high? And I have to do that once a year, and I got to document it. Now, the client says their tolerance for risk is moderate. If I put them into investments, and the risk tolerance or the risk of each investment is defined in the prospectus, that doesn't match that. If I put them into an investment where the prospectus says it's high risk and they're moderate, I'm offside. And I'm subject to regulatory fines and lawsuits over that if that's the case.
Well, that was another situation, this one, because when I first looked at this lady's finances, everything was in oil and gas, which took the biggest tumble in the little crash we just had here.
Sure.
The portfolio she had went from $20,000 down to $8,000 overnight.
Could she afford to lose that money?
Oh, hell no.
Well, then no matter what she said, the financial advisor is negligent, because even though she says my tolerance for risk is high, that may still not be suitable.
No tolerance for risk was never high.
Because the facts say there's no tolerance for risk.
She has no tolerance for risk.
You have to go by the facts.
That's an interesting thing. I don't want to put you on the spot or anybody else on the spot, but these are troubling times out there, and people need to have their portfolios, their money, their stuff put together in a total picture rather than deal in an isolated incident.
If you can't sleep with your investments, the investments aren't suitable.
Yeah. But in some cases, you don't know what you've got.
But it's incumbent upon the advisor to find out.
Okay.
That's called due diligence.
But how do you tell? If somebody just doesn't get it, how do you tell? I mean, in my opinion, this lady really didn't understand what she had.
Well, good question. If she didn't understand what she had, then maybe the investment wasn't suitable.
Yeah. I'm just trying to come around.
Because another one of the questions is you ask the client what their knowledge is. Yeah. If their knowledge is low, then maybe you're only allowed to put them into investments.
How about knowledge zero?
Well, tough one. Maybe you shouldn't take them on as a client.
I should be
send them to the bank and have them buy a GIC.
I should be dragging Dan because I can't. On the program the other day, I made the comment, and I had never thought of this before, because people are always saying, I'm trying to save my capital, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really want to preserve my capital.
Preservation of capital, yeah.
Preservation of capital. But that isn't the right thing. What they should be saying is they want to keep their spending power.
Yeah, purchasing power.
Purchasing power.
Yeah.
They want to be able to buy the same thing with what they've got today 10 years from now that they can buy today.
But if prices double, they can only buy half as much.
And in many years, they can only buy a third as much.
Yeah, sure.
When interest rates are 10%, $100,000 10 years later buys about $19,000 or $20,000 worth of the same stuff.
So this person's financial objective then, or risk tolerance, might be growth in income.
Yes.
Not just income.
Yeah.
They want some growth. They want some income. Yeah.
It's an interesting conundrum, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, take the example. I remember one time we did a case study at a conference I was at, and this lady had gone to her lawyer. She said, my husband is willing to give me $500,000. They were splitting up, and should I take it? And the lawyer who was advising her said, well, how much income do you need? And she said $50,000 a year.
Well, it's good for about 11 years.
And apparently the lawyer said, sure, that's a great deal. You're going to get $10,000 interest forever and still maintain your principal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reality of the situation is, when interest rates decline, the $10,000 decline. But even if interest rates didn't decline,
mm-hmm.
the $10,000 after taxes and inflation.
I think we're talking 10%, aren't you?
That's correct.
Yeah, 10% would be $50,000.
That's correct.
$500,000. Yeah.
But if you simply, forgetting about taxes, if you simply inflation adjust the $10,000 by, say, 3% for inflation, you're out of money in about 12 or 13 years.
I know. Gone.
This woman was 50. This meant she'd be broke at age 63.
Well,
And so it wasn't very good advice.
that's
And
exactly
it was
the same
actually from a
situation.
lawyer. This was an actually case study, a real case study.
Yeah. Well, it's the same kind of situation I'm just talking about now, because never once was this lady suggested to her that she should buy herself a place to live in, even though it made the most sense of anything that she could possibly do. And where are we, Richard? Are we just about there? Take another cut.